Today on Slack Signal X. Skateboarding wasn't supposed to be anything. Not a career, not a lifestyle. It wasn't even respected. For Generation X, it was something you found on your own. You didn't get introduced to it. Maybe you stumbled across a half-broken deck at a garage sale, or saw a kid grinding a curb when everybody else was doing laps around a shopping mall. It wasn't about being cool. It was about not giving a damn if you were or not. But before we begin, please like, subscribe. Don't be a poser. 1. Early days. In the 80s, skateboarding didn't have a playbook. It wasn't shiny. It wasn't safe. The big names had disappeared after the 70s boom dried up. The kids left doing it were the ones too stubborn or too restless to stop. You'd skate abandoned pools if you lived in California, or curbs and parking blocks if you didn't. There were no indoor parks. You made do with what the city gave you. And mostly, the city didn't give a damn. This was the Gen X experience in motion. Figure it out, fix it yourself, and don't expect anyone to care. 2. Enter punk. The soundtrack in the background wasn't happy. It was loud, short, and pissed off. Punk fit into skateboarding naturally because both came from the same place. Boredom, alienation, and a general distrust of whatever everyone else seemed to be doing. You didn't skate to impress anyone. You skated because there was nowhere else to go. Punk music played because nothing else made sense. It wasn't just about the sound. It was about attitude. You had no money, no helmet, no plan. You took slams, you kept going, and that was it. Bands like the Circle Jerks, Suicidal Tendencies, DOA, and Agent Orange weren't background noise. They were the mood. Skate videos from this era weren't produced. They were passed around on VHS, full of sketchy footage and harder to watch bails. You watched them like documentaries, real life, no polish. Part 3. East Coast and the shift to city skating. As skateboarding drifted into the late 80s, the spots changed. Pools dried up, literally and culturally. Skating moved to the streets. East Coast cities, with their rough sidewalks and tighter spaces, bred a different kind of skater. Less flow and more grit. Everything became more technical, more deliberate. Cracked sidewalks, jersey barriers. Everything was a spot if you were willing to fall on it. The vibe started to shift too. The punk shirts didn't go away, but more heads were turning towards the sound coming out of Brooklyn, the Bronx, Philly. You'd hear Public Enemy or Boogie Down Productions coming from boom boxes at Love Park. Kids would skate with baggy jeans and snapback hats, not because it was a trend, but because that's what the streets sounded like. 4. Hip-hop moves in. No one voted on the transition. No one said punk's out, hip-hop's in. It wasn't a change, it was a layering. The same way punk gave skating its attitude, hip-hop gave it its rhythm. The repetition of trying a trick over and over, it mirrored looping beats. The need to stand out, to make something from nothing. It was already baked into both. Graffiti started showing up on grip tape. Freestyle battles happened across the street from ledge sessions. The overlap wasn't forced. It just made sense. Guys like Harold Hunter and Stevie Williams, they weren't switching genres. They were just skating their city. The music followed naturally. 5. Fusion. Somewhere in the early 90s, skateboarding stopped pretending it had to pick a lane. Videos like Eastern Exposure and Memory Screen featured soundtracks that didn't care about genre lines. A punk track here, a jazz loop there, a chopped up hip-hop beat fading into a noise track. Skaters started caring about style, not trends, but real style. How you moved, how you dressed, how you filmed it. You didn't need a sponsor, you needed footage, and you needed your own voice. Punk had given the world a snarl, hip-hop gave it swagger, and skating moved right down the middle of both. 6. Always broke, never bought. Skating never needed permission. That's something punk and hip-hop always shared. Nobody gave you a spot, you built it. DIY skate parks under freeway overpasses, handmade ledges built from leftover concrete and sweat, spray cans tagging the flat ground, zines printed on stolen paper. The skater who filmed his own video and dubbed his own tape wasn't copying punk or hip-hop. He was part of the same process. Create. Don't wait. Don't ask. 7. Still outsiders. Eventually, skating made its way into the mainstream. Tony Hawk, ESPN, energy drinks, mall brands. All the stuff we used to laugh at. And yeah, some of us cashed in. Some of us called it selling out. But most just kept skating. You couldn't kill the culture because the culture was never only on camera. You could find it in a half-dead industrial park on a Sunday. You could feel it in a parking lot behind an abandoned strip mall at 2 a.m. Same rough boards, same busted-up shoes, same music, just coming from a phone instead of a tape deck. 8. Coexist. The reason punk and hip-hop both survived in skateboarding is because neither one ever fully dominated. Some kids still come in through the Misfits, others through MF Doom. Some skaters still look like they time-traveled from a Crash show. Others dress like they're heading to an open mic. But they're all skating the same spots. The soundtrack changes, the attitude doesn't. It's still a little broken, a little angry, very brilliant. That's Gen X, not a movement, not a brand. Just people who found meaning in motion and didn't feel like explaining it. We didn't call it a subculture. We didn't need to. It was just what we did when nothing else made sense. Skateboarding isn't punk. It isn't hip-hop. It's what happens when both meet in a city too loud to sleep and you decide not to go home. Thanks again. This has been Slack Signal X.